By September 2002, it was clear that George's efforts had hit the rocks. Indeed, on January 16, 2002, KCB chairman Kip Kooley announced that George had resigned from KCB. Another Briton, Terry Davidson, who had served with Citibank for 30 years, would take over from George.
When I came in, there were about 3,000 people in the bank, 3,000 staff. There'd been this complete preoccupation with the non-performing loans. I think the value of those loans was about 25 billion. It was a big number, but all of the bank sort of, the publicity the bank was getting, the sort of internally the focus was all on how to manage this non-performing book. And so there was very little focus on the actual business. And it was eroding, it was slowly disappearing. So 90% of the people in the bank were just not that engaged, and morale was quite low.
The biggest challenge that Davidson faced was how to grow the bank in a low-interest environment. To achieve this growth, the bank came up with some new products. These included a quick-serve ATM expansion, which permitted customers to withdraw funds away from their own branches, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, as well as the setting up of 19 ATM units in new locations outside Nairobi, bringing the total to 54 countrywide. The new KCB products came even as the business community started talking of an economic boom. Western donors, who had shunned Kenya for more than a decade because of President Moi's political and economic policies, had begun to send overtures about their readiness to resume aid and lending. It was surprising, therefore, that just when things were beginning to look good, in April 2003, days ahead of the year's AGM, Kip Kooley announced his resignation as chairman. He did not give any reason. He was replaced by Susan Mudune.
The shareholders did something which was out of the box, if I may call it. I mean, here is a woman being appointed to chair maybe the biggest bank in the region. It was unprecedented, and maybe they said somebody must have thought hard and decided that maybe this was the best way to go. And although there are some quarters which were apprehensive about it, I know that the day before I was appointed, somebody told me, the shares of that bank in the market may drop, because this is something that may not be accepted. But to the contrary, it worked for the good of the bank, and I think it shows that maybe our society has matured, and they do accept that it is one's ability and one's skill and one's experience that really matters. Because among the board members then, I was the only banker, and I had worked in the banking industry for over 20 years.
Speculation about likely board and management changes, as well as the possibility that the government wanted to sell its 35% stake in KCB, would see heavy trading in KCB shares at the NSE, pushing the bank's share price to 45 shillings from a low of 20 shillings at the start of the year, an unprecedented 125% increase. In April 2003, KCB launched a rebranding campaign in an attempt to erase public perceptions that it was a poor market performer. The bank also announced that in addition to opening 11 new branches, it would reopen 20 branches across the country that had been closed owing to the huge amounts of non-performing loans. It planned to increase the number of ATMs from 56 to 116 by mid-2005. The number of ATMs would eventually rise to 950 across the East African region. And that year, the bank also launched the MasterCard. Because of these improvements, it was not surprising that in August 2003, KCB posted a 295 million shilling net profit for the half year to June 30th, compared with the 3 billion shilling pre-tax loss in the previous year. And as the year ended, KCB's books for 2003 indicated that the bank had emerged from the woods to post a pre-tax profit of 750 million Kenya shillings, a sign that investors had recovered confidence in the bank.